So I want to recap my interview with Jeannie Roach. Jeannie Roach, formerly Bordeaux. She's a survivor. She's a survivor of the shootout. The famous Leonard Peltier shootout. The shootout at the Oglala, the Pine Ridge Reservation. The incident at the Oglala. The shootout at the Jumping Bull Ranch. So the Jumping Bull Ranch, there's a big shootout, and we are not told who shot first. We're not told who shot first. We do know we got two creepy-ass cars, plain clothes. You couldn't even really tell what the people inside the cars were wearing. Two separate cars, stalking and creeping in a dangerous neighborhood. In the Reign of Terror, 60 Native Americans were killed during the Reign of Terror. The Reign of Terror lasted from 1973 to 1975. From the second Wounded Knee, which was at the Pine Ridge Reservation, that's the first wounded, the second wounded knee, and then we have Leonard Peltier. So this shootout is going to see Joseph Stunts get killed, two FBI agents are going to get killed, and Leonard Peltier is going to go to prison for 50 plus years, maybe for the rest of his life. So she said she was a survivor. She says that she was there. She told us what had happened with her. She said they were just camping and they were just cooking. It was a normal, regular day, and then gunshots were heard over the hill, and then she saw men with guns running. And they all had just regular guns, she said, just like pistols, rifles, AR-15s. A lot of these folks are dead and gone. Jimmy Eagle belongs to the Great Spirit now. Robert Robidoux, he's died. Jimmy Eagle has died. Myrtle Poorbear is such a sympathetic person in this whole case. I'm thinking, like, she said that she was Leonard's girlfriend and all this other crazy stuff, and she just flat out lied. They had threatened her with dead hands. They had cut off the hands of one of the dead bodies that was found on the reservation. This was sent to the FBI so they could identify the body. They used those cut off hands to intimidate Myrtle Poorbear for the affidavit to extradite Leonard Peltier back to the United States. Not only did they threaten Myrtle Poorbear, but they said with the hands, they said that they're going to put her through the meat grinder. They threatened her and they threatened her children. So she lied. She said one thing on one affidavit and said the exact opposite on the other affidavit. She wasn't allowed to testify. Jimmy Eagle wasn't allowed to testify. Norman Charles was there. He apparently is still alive. Daryl Butler, or what do they call him? There's some nickname that they call Daryl Butler. Dino. So Dino Butler is still alive. And apparently he's out west somewhere. Joseph Stunts, we got to find out a little bit about Joseph Stunts. He was smiling and was fun-loving. He was smiling and fun-loving. He didn't have any wife or kids. But he was good people. He was 21 years old. And he got shot right in the forehead by a sniper from either the FBI or the AIM. A law enforcement sniper is what the Justice Department had concluded. And since it was FBI and AIM, BIA. AIM is the Native American movement which we support. BIA is the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It's the federal government. The FBI is the federal government. The BIA is the federal government. It's 2:15 a.m. July 4th. Merry Independence Day. America. One of the 6 end objects of the U.S. Constitution is to establish justice. So it was a sovereign nation. It's on private property. You got two creepy cars stalking, following them. Who shot first? Nobody seems to know. You had Robert Robidoux. Robert Robidoux said that one of his bullets actually hit one of the agents. Leonard Peltier looked right in the camera, and he said that he did not execute those men, nor did he give the order to execute those men. She said it was circumstantial evidence. In Canada, they had sealed a lot of files. A lot of that's been released, though. She said that 35,000 rounds were shot into the Pine Ridge Reservation. 35 rounds. So there was like 125 rounds in the car. There's 35,000 rounds in the Pine Ridge Reservation. This is a rural area. A rural area where there's no people living. It's remote. It's dangerous. And apparently the conflict was you had traditionalist AIM members versus the old school people who had been there forever, who were modernizing and changing things. The goon squad had a whole bunch of guns flooded to them. The federal government had flooded them a whole bunch of assault rifles. And essentially just let the Native Americans shoot each other to death. 60 people are going to die during the Reign of Terror. And that was greater than the entire state of South Dakota at the time. And this is South Dakota. What does South Dakota ever... Leonard Peltier is the best thing that's ever happened to South Dakota. Paul Benson was Nixon appointed. Bouncing Benson. He was racist. He was a cheater. He broke the 4th Amendment, the 6th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, the 8th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. All the amendments really he could break. I think it was an FBI sniper, but apparently it could be the BIA or the FBI sniper who killed Joseph Stunts. Another really big important point for Leonard Peltier is that all he would have to do is say guilty and he would get his freedom. But if he's not guilty, he can't say the damn thing. And so therefore the government's trying to save face by, well, he said, guilty, so they got the conviction. So the government's just trying to save face, but they're going to break the man. And if he truly had done the thing, why not just say the verdict and then go free? Is a person's ego that much? Is a person's ego that big? I don't think so. I don't think so. So it would make no sense for Leonard Peltier to make a stand such as that unless he truly, honestly believed in his heart that he was innocent. 100% innocent. Was he part of the melee? Was he running around here and there? Probably. Was he aiding and abetting? Maybe. Did he kill the execution shots? I don't think so. And did he give the order to shoot the execution shots? Robert Robidoux said that his bullets had hit the agents. And that was at the incident of Oglala, the Robert Redford documentary about this ordeal, about the Jumping Bull Ranch shootout. So she didn't really see the shooting or the beginning of the shooting. She don't know how it began. I guess she was young at the time. And just at the top of the hill there was shooting. There's gunshots, a whole bunch of them. She don't remember how many. And then there were men that went running up towards the commotion, the melee. David Hill, she suggests that David Hill was the actual shooter, the trigger man, the person that killed the 2 agents. He was FBI, COINTELPRO, just a lot of dirty dealings. So even if you just look into David Hill, Canada sealed the documents and Myrtle Poorbear. So I'm glad I talked to her because I got a better understanding of the entire ordeal. Leonard Peltier wouldn't get convicted in a fair court of law if we employed all the Bill of Rights. Does America still believe in freedom? Whither is the courage of America? Whither has American freedom gone? The Bill of Rights is a part of the Constitution, which makes it constitutional law, which makes it the strongest law in America. So the right to speak, the right to petition, instead of going straight for criminality and violence, you try to exhaust all peaceful options. They want to act like they were just hapless victims who weren't doing anything. They drove into a minefield. The 2 FBI agents, Ronald and Jack Kohler and Williams, they drove into a minefield, a dangerous basically tribal gang warfare, warlords. So you got this gangland warfare, and then these two creepy guys in plain cars are just driving in the middle of all this shit. People were getting shot just later, and somebody would just park outside in front of their house and then go in, and then that house was shot up. Those people were burnt to death. 60 during 2 years. That's a lot of murders. And Leonard Peltier couldn't talk about the self-defense. He couldn't talk about the murders. He couldn't talk about the reign of terror, so he wasn't allowed to admit into the evidence pool in front of the jury, that he's got a right to self-defense, which comes from God, which comes from the Constitution, it comes from common sense, it comes from natural law. Of course you got a right to self-defense. Who would disagree with Ukraine's right to defend itself? As the world's policeman, as the empire, we've got to stand up for our neighbor. We got to be for the golden rule. And that just doesn't mean don't be bad to each other, don't be evil, but be good. Be good. I think at the very least, Leonard Peltier deserves another trial. At the very least, he served a huge time frame. You think you haven't punished the guy? He's an old man now. He looks different. His physical appearance is different. He's getting closer and closer to the end. He's going to be 90 soon, and then 100, and then, they are slowly killing him. And it's almost like they increased his prison sentence. I believe Leonard Peltier didn't shoot the two agents. I believe him. I believe him. No person has that ginormous of an ego. Even Julian Assange took the deal, and he's not guilty of shit. So why would Leonard Peltier reject the plea of saying guilty unless he truly was innocent? He looked in the camera, said he wasn't the killer, he didn't execute the men, and he also said that he didn't give the order. I believe it. Robidoux said that he did it. And then possibly that David Hill had something to do with it. So the preamble says that we're supposed to care about the general welfare of America. We're supposed to care about the common defense of America. We're supposed to care about freedom and justice, to establish justice, to protect the blessings of liberty. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, a union of states, 50 states, 900 military bases, and 14 colonies. Domestic tranquility, establish justice. What's all 6 of the end objects? Sucks that Myrtle Poorbear is dead. She was kind of not the coolest person in school, right? They threatened her. They threatened her because they knew not only was she Native American, so she's brown and on the reservation, but she's going to, or wherever she was at. Apparently she wasn't even on that reservation at the time. She wasn't there. She wasn't close to it. She didn't even know Leonard, but they just did that just to get the extradition to go through. And so they did it because I think that she was, she didn't have great teeth. I don't want to say like undesirable or like the forgotten, the proles, the proletariat, a brick in the wall. They fucked her over good. And she went to the trial in Fargo, and they wouldn't let her testify. Her testimony would have changed the verdict, because why is the government doing all this shit? Why would the government take somebody's hands and threaten a Native American into shutting up? Why would the government do that? Why would the government threaten her kids, threaten to put her through a meat grinder? She's already got a crap life as it is. And then to make it that much worse? Insane. Insane. They knew they had a hapless victim, and they made her say whatever the hell they intimidated or tortured her into saying. So June 26, 1975. It's nearly 50 years ago. Free Leonard Peltier. Free Leonard. Free Leonard.